So the question is, should you or should you not buy an 11th Gen F150? The answer is yes and no. So keep watching to find out why. So you've probably heard a ton of stories of these things running forever, and a lot more stories of them having timing chain issues and blowing motors. So here's a better look at my truck. It's a red. I got some aftermarket parts on it, obviously some aesthetics, a little facelift that I did. You guys can watch a video on my channel where we did all this work to it. So my truck is a 2004, so it's the first year of the new body style. It has the V8 5.4 liter Triton engine. They did come with a 4.6 liter V8 and also a 4.2 liter V6 option for these trucks. But a majority of the four-wheel drives, super cabs, and super crews are all 5.4 liter V8 Triton engines. Now that is the engine that is notorious for having the timing issues, which we'll get to once we get to the front of the truck. But we are out here at Mount Charleston, kind of halfway to Mount Charleston from Las Vegas, Nevada. And there's some cool trails out here, so we're gonna kind of take the truck along for a journey and help you guys decide whether you should buy a truck like this or not. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna touch base on is performance as far as suspension or off-roading goes. So since we're out here and we're doing some trails, I figured that'd be where we start. So again, with the 11th Gen F150 came a new frame, new chassis, and all that kind of stuff, new suspension. This is a four-wheel drive truck. We're just in two-wheel drive going up this hill. It's a pretty smooth road that heads out to this section of trails. With that being said, it has a solid rear axle. This has a 9.75 rear end, and the front suspension is independent front suspension. It's got a coilover setup in the front. Let me actually park and jump out, and then we'll talk about the suspension. Okay, so we made it up that hill. We are up here now at the very top of it. So let's talk about suspension. So the 11th Gen F150 is obviously the first year of a new chassis, and they kind of switch things up. It's got independent front suspension, a solid axle rear end, a full steel frame. And one of the reasons why it's so cool is because this is actually the chassis that they used to develop the Raptor. Originally, the Gen 1 Raptor is the same exact frame, practically the same cab. It's got the same bones as a Raptor. So you can actually take Gen 1 Raptor suspension and a lot of parts and bolt them right onto this truck. So that's a kind of cool thing about it. With that being said, it's really easy to find modifications for this truck. So they make tons of lift kits, tons of leveling kits, tons of long travel kits, tons of gearing options, tons of accessories. This truck has so many options, and that's one of the really, really cool things about it. And one of the things that I like about it is that there's tons of options. And also, you don't even need to buy a ton of aftermarket things. My wheels on this truck right now are actually Ford Expedition wheels. These running boards are off a Gen 1 Raptor, and that's just what I have, but you can take mirrors from a 12th Gen or a Raptor and bolt them straight up to this truck. Wire and blinkers, there's just so many options as far as upgrades, even just with other Ford OEM parts off of newer and other trucks. So on this truck, I actually only have a rough country level kit, so that's bolted in there. Again, you have a full coilover type of suspensions. So they make tons of aftermarket coilover options for this truck that'll bolt right in, that include leveling kits as well. The rear is very simple. Shocks are right here. Leaf spring perches are right there. Shackles, rear end, super easy to service. Now I have a super cab, so I have back doors that open up backwards and a 5.5 foot bed. The 5.5 foot bed may not be big enough for you if you're gonna use this thing to really, really work, but for everything that I use it for, it works perfectly. Plenty of space in there. I've only ever towed small U-Haul trailers, so I can't really speak to towing capacity and whatnot. You might want to look that up somewhere else. I don't really ever plan on towing anything bigger with it, considering that it's an 18-year-old truck and it has 236,000 miles. I'm probably not going to tow anything much bigger than tiny U-Haul trailers every now and again, so it works out perfectly for me with that. So before I jump inside and talk about the interior, let me just kind of walk around and tell you guys what I love about the truck. Number one, I just love this body style. I loved when they converted to this body style from the last gen. It's just perfect. So I actually even love the factory grille, factory headlights. I happen to swap mine out, but I would go back to the old ones, no problem. I love it. Tons of option for wheels. Again, like I said, Raptor wheels that fit on their Expedition wheels. They're 6 on 135. Tons of aftermarket option for wheels. Tons of aftermarket options for running boards. I love the super cab. I love the bed. I'm telling you guys all the things right now. The looks of it, the aesthetics of it, physical looks, I have zero complaints about this truck. I've always loved it, and I will forever love it. Chrome bumpers, I'm not a big fan. I'm probably gonna paint these or get some aftermarket bumpers eventually, but all the options are different. Some of the higher trim levels come with factory paint matched bumpers. Okay, so next thing that we're gonna talk about is the interior. I love the interiors of this trucks. I actually really like the super cabs. Plenty of space in the back seat. I can fit my daughter's car seat back there. I'm not saying that maybe if you're 6 foot tall or above, you should sit back there for a road trip, but for in-town driving, I think it's perfect. It's got the suicide back doors that actually have power windows, so whenever somebody sits back there, they're always surprised that they have their own power window. So that's a nice little option. I got some fake leather seat covers on there to make it kind of look a little bit better than just the fabric seats. But all power options, power driver's seat, power pedal to move it closer. And again, not all 11 gens have these features. I'm just kind of telling you what I like about this one. It's got some steering wheel controls for cruise control, very simple dash. I have a base model 11 gen, exact same interior, obviously no power options, same dash, same center console. You can either have a little jump seat right here or a center console. Mine came with a center console, super deep, tons of cup holders. So this seat is a 70-30 split, so that seat where the jack is on its own, and these other two seats open up together. So if you needed to put something big under there, for me, it's a subwoofer. But you can flip it up, put your dogs, load some stuff up in here if the bed wasn't working for you, and it's good to go. So there's nothing in the interior that I really have complaints about, nothing I would change. Obviously, I mean, like, if you could afford some cat skin and some leather seat covers, cool. I got a radio and a sub, but I wouldn't swap out my gauge cluster or do a crazy headliner in this truck or nothing like that. So as far as the interior goes, I'd say it's got what it needs to be a good truck, and that's about it. So let's jump back outside and talk about the motor. Okay, so point blank period, these motors suck. I did a timing job on mine. I bought it with like over 200,000 miles and had it for 3 years. You can even kind of hear a tick right now. Some people will say that that loud of a tick is just the fuel injectors. Could still be the timing. I'm actually gonna shut it just because it's noisy. But my truck pretty much sounded like a diesel going down the road. So I couldn't even go through a drive-through without my truck sounding like a crazy diesel and echoing all around. So I finally did the timing job and the truck is running much better. You can still hear it just a little bit, but it is nothing compared to how it used to be. That's the number one thing that you'll see complained about on these trucks is the 5.4 liter, the timing jobs, the oil pressure, and all the stuff that has to do with that. I bought the truck with over 200,000 miles on it. It is at about 236,000 miles now. I did the timing job. I've had no issues so far. It's a little bit noisy to me still. Some people will say it's just the fuel injectors. It's not too loud now and I'm not too worried about it. A lot of shops will charge a lot of money to work on these trucks because they hear all the same stories as you on the timing, transmission issues, and whatnot. So a lot of people will actually price these trucks out considering buying a new crate engine. So I've always kind of budgeted with that in mind. It would still be way, way, way cheaper than buying a new truck today. Trucks are just getting more and more expensive, so I'm happy with this truck. I'm happy with no truck payment and a little bit of gas and spending money for the truck until the day comes where it makes sense for me to get a new truck. But for now, this is what makes sense to me. Even if I do end up putting a crate engine in it, I still think it's worth it. So that's something to consider. There's a few options for crate engines, and you might want to price that out over having a shop do engine work on these trucks. Most of those engines also come with powertrain warranties, so definitely check that out. That's something I'm personally considering, and maybe in the future you guys will see me doing that with this truck. So the last thing to wrap up the powertrain, the miles per gallon sucks. The highest I've gotten is on a road trip, 18 miles per gallon. That was like on the way to Colorado. I don't know how I got it that high, because in town the best I've gotten is about 12, 13 miles per gallon. The worst is about 8 to 10 miles per gallon. Now I know trucks aren't designed to go out and save gas, so I have a car that we drive to save gas. This truck I use a lot for work and exploring, and I have my pre-renter for having fun in, right? And those both get horrible gas. But if you're getting this to save gas, definitely don't. Maybe look for a mid-size truck or a V6. So one of the things I really like about this truck, and this might just seem kind of weird to say, it's just a solid truck. I've ridden in trucks that feel very plasticky. The cabins are not very well sealed. They're noisy. The suspension rides like crap. And I'm not saying, again, this is an off-road beast or anything like that. But you can see we're kind of going through a little gravel road. You can see my hand kind of shaking a little bit. But I'm talking to you guys. It's not too loud. Engine's not too loud. We're able to be in here, have our music playing, have coffee, energy drinks in the cup holders, and just cruise. And I can say that from experience. We've taken this truck to Colorado 3 times now, so I've sat in this seat for 12 plus hours straight, and all of that works perfectly. It's very comfortable, a ton of comfort features. Even before I put in the radio and all that kind of stuff and the seat covers, the first time we took this truck, it was pretty much bone stock, and it was awesome. So I know that I didn't go into super detail. I'm not gonna say I'm a Ford expert. That's just kind of my personal opinions and some of the things that stand out to me about this truck when I made my decision to purchase my second 11 Gen F150. So I hope a little bit of my insight helped you guys out. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. So to wrap everything up, the answer is gonna be yes and no. Now I think you'll fit into the yes group if you are a little bit mechanically inclined, you've owned a project vehicle before, because these trucks might be newer and nice, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the project truck category. I don't really know anyone who has purchased one of these and has done nothing to it and just drove the crap out of it. I feel like you do have to have a love for the truck just a little bit, and a little bit of patience and a little bit of passion for this truck in order to actually truly enjoy it. If you just need something to jump in and get to work, I would look for something a little bit newer, or maybe even a Ranger, an Explorer, something that's a little bit cheaper to take to a shop to get fixed if you're not going to do a lot of the work yourself. So if you're willing to do that, you probably fit into the yes category. If you like to modify your vehicles, if you want it to look good, if you want to modernize it just a little bit, if you want a solid chassis truck, this is the truck for you. If you want endless possibilities, like I bought this truck thinking that maybe one day I will Raptor swap it. Maybe I'll just leave it on a level kit. Maybe I'll put a lift kit on it. Maybe I'll lower it. I don't know. I just bought this truck because there's endless possibilities with this truck. And then you're gonna go ahead and fit in the no category if you're just a Ford hater, if you don't like this truck, if the entire time you were disagreeing with me in this video, or if you just don't want to deal with the problems. If you're not willing to put a crate engine in this truck, possibly, if you're not willing to pay for a timing job, if you're not willing to do a little bit of work yourself, do a little bit of research, then just don't get this truck. If you're not willing to work on an old truck, maybe you actually should be a person buying a new truck anyways. But that's just my opinion on this truck. Now, I know I already told you guys my favorite thing about the truck is just that it looks good, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that one more time. It looks freaking good. I love the truck. I love the way this truck looks, and I'll never change my mind about that. I'll keep working on this truck for as long as I can, and hopefully I don't have to get rid of it. But you know, I mean, eventually I do love the newer Ford trucks as well, so maybe one day there'll be an upgrade down the road. But let me know if you guys have any questions down below in the comments. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope I helped answer your question just a little bit. My name's Adrian. This is my 2004 Ford F150. Please subscribe to my channel. Leave me the questions down below in the comments so I can get some future video ideas and I can chat with you guys. I really appreciate you checking out this video. Give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful. I didn't go super crazy in detail on specifics on my truck. I'm probably gonna do a walk around video in the future of it. If you guys have questions about my truck, leave those in the comments as well. Make sure you check out my other videos about this truck and about my other 2004 Ford F150. Thanks for watching, and peace.